there are two very similar animals. Both of these animals are from Africa and have the most similar genetic code to humans. One is led by a male. The animal has more aggressive and violent behavior. In contrast, the other is led by a female and has less aggressive, more peaceful behavior. Which animal will be more famous? The male dominant animal is the chimpanzee, and the female dominant animal is the bonobo. You maybe know chimpanzee, and less likely to know about bonobo. Why is the chimpanzee known by most people, while bonobo is almost never heard of? In our human world, the male dominant animal is more prominent, even though both are from similar place in the world. In the patriarchal human society, any scientific evidence that supports the existing male-dominant society's norm is getting people's attention. The scientists who did the research have a preference for making research discoveries, producing publications, and promoting the publications. Their preferences can be influenced by their own identities such as gender, sex, neurotype, race, sexual orientation, religion, economic class, political identity, disability, etc. We also don't forget the government, corporation, and organizations that back the research. How those identity factors influencing knowledge, particularly sex and gender, are studied in Feminist Standpoint Epistemology. What is Feminist Standpoint Epistemology? First, we need to understand what epistemology is. Epistemology is a philosophical study about knowledge, like what knowledge is, how a person gets the knowledge, the nature of knowledge, and so on. While Feminist Standpoint Epistemology is studying how many identity factors can influence our knowledge, such as our gender and sex, which is the main discussion of Feminist Standpoint Epistemology. Neurotype, race, sexual orientation, religion, tribe, economic class, political identity, disability, place we come from, and our accessibility of information. For example, if the scientists who studied both chimpanzees and bonobos are mostly males, they are most likely to research chimpanzees with male-dominant communities, since most feel related to their societal position. The other example that we often hear about the male gorilla with strong, aggressive, dominant will lead the colony. However, we rarely hear about the eagle. Eagles have larger and stronger females, and both sexes have equal responsibility for taking care of the children. Okay, now we see the biases in life science, but how is it affecting our daily life? In the medical field, women are more likely to be misdiagnosed and wrongly prescribed. Women also need more years to get the correct diagnosis, especially if their health problem is only happening in females. Women are twice as likely as men to be prescribed antidepressants. It is not because they are more likely to seek help, nor more likely to be depressed. Actually, in a 2017 Swedish study, it was men who were more likely to report depression. Women are more likely to be prescribed antidepressants when they are actually not depressed. Women's physical pain is much likely to be dismissed as emotional or psychosomatic or other mental health problems. Psychosomatic is a psychological condition that leads to physical symptoms. Women more likely to be dismissed as psychosomatic because of the stereotypes about women being over-emotional. Sex and gender biases also influence neurotype diagnosis, particularly autism. Autism research still predominantly observes males, so the stereotypically autistic traits are usually observed from males. Autistic females tend to exhibit different characteristics than autistic males due to external factors such as social pressure. Many experts didn't realize it. Sexism has led the experts to dismiss female autistic experiences, and even worse, autistic females are misdiagnosed with other mental health conditions like anxiety, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, and so on. If you're interested in understanding autism in females, check out our previous video, Signs of Autism in Girls You Need to Know. There is another research addressing this sexism in autism diagnosis. A 2012 study by a cognitive neuroscientist, Francesca Happ of King's College London, and her colleagues compared the occurrence of autism traits and formal diagnosis in sample of more than 15,000 twins. They found that, compared to the autistic boys, the autistic girls need to have either more behavioral difference or significant intellectual disabilities to get diagnosis. Another 2013 study showed that girls typically received their autism diagnosis later than boys because most psychologists and doctors didn't recognize different autistic female traits. Sex and gender biases also factor in the industry, especially in automotive. That's true that men are more likely to be involved in car crashes. But here's the catch. Suppose a woman is involved in car crash. In that case, she is 47% more likely to be seriously injured and 71% more likely to be moderately wounded than men. She is also 17% more likely to die. This higher probability is because women are less able to be in ideal driver's seat position. Women need to sit further forward to reach the car pedal when driving, since they are shorter on average. Despite making up half of the population, women are considered non-standard position of drivers. In most car companies, there is no requirement to use female-sized dummy when crash testing cars. Not only about gender and sex, lack of accommodation for disabled people in science and technology is also prevalent. People can doubt their requests for accommodations because people often perceive accommodations as giving disabled people an advantage over their non-disabled peers. Although disabled people are less likely to function without accommodations, we need to consider many personal factors when it comes to science and technology: gender, sex, neurotype, race, sexual orientation, religion, economic class, political identity, disability, perspectives, behavioral difference, and so on are also needed to take into account. One of many ways to do that is to help those with different or underrepresented identities and perspectives to get access to science and technology development, particularly females and neurominorities. We need to accommodate those people to have the same opportunities to study in science and technology, have a meaningful, sustainable career in that field, and excel or make it to the top in these fields. Subscribe to Biosciety for more inspiring content about science and humanity. See you later!